Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi. Very good day and greetings to my respective lecturer, my respective first examiner, my respective second examiner. My name is Ahmad Farhan bin Mohammed from LG 2436B, and today I will present about my ALS 660 final year project presentation. Now, allow me. This presentation reports a quantitative research study examining the types of code mixing used by Bumiputra and non-Bumiputra undergraduates in cross-cultural communication, focusing on intrinsic motivation and intercultural competence. The presentation is organized according to the main chapters of the study as stated in the slide right now. Now, we are going to the chapter 1 for introduction. As for the problem statement, Malaysia is a multilingual society where communication across ethnic and cultural groups frequently involve more than one language as cited by Wu 2021. Among university undergraduates, code mixing is commonly observed in both academic and social interactions. However, code mixing is often perceived negatively and is insufficient examining as a meaningful communicative strategy. In addition, limited quantitative research has compared Bumiputra and non-Bumiputra undergraduates in terms of their code mixing practices, particularly when viewed through intrinsic motivation and intercultural competence. The purpose of this study is to examine the types of code mixing used by Bumiputra and non-Bumiputra undergraduates in cross-cultural communication and to identify whether significant differences exist between the two groups. As for the research objectives and questions, accordingly in the slide as shown, 3 research objectives and 3 research questions were formulated to guide the study, focusing on identifying the code mixing types and determining group differences, whether there is a significance or not. Now we are going to the chapter 2, which is literature review. This is the most important part of all, I would say. Now, theoretical framework. The study was grounded in theories and code mixing, intrinsic motivation and intercultural competence according to Musikan 2000 typology of code mixing framework. Code mixing was conceptualized through types such as insertion, alternation, intrasensential, intersensential, mixing, and others. Alright, so intrinsic motivation was examined through self-efficacy, desire for self-certification, and desire to become a global citizens, while intercultural competence was framed to knowledge, skill of discovery, and interaction and attitude for intercultural competence. Now let's talk about the past studies and research gap. Now, according to the slide here, past studies have established that code mixing function as a communicative resource in multilingual context. This include Gumpers 1983, Gals 1973. Alright. However, limited research has quantitatively examined how motivational and intercultural factors shape code mixing practices among different ethnic groups in Malaysian higher education context. Alright, this study addressed that gap, as cited also by Arigoth 2021. Now we are going to the chapter 3 methodology. Now for the research design, as stated in the slide, a quantitative descriptive research design was adopted to systematically describe patterns and compare group differences without inferring casuality. And as for the research instrument and reliability, data were collected using a structured questionnaire. Reliability analysis yielded a Cronbach's alpha value of 0.980, indicating excellent internal consistency as cited and as shown in the table. As for the sampling and data analysis, a total of 135 undergraduates participated in the study. Data were analyzed using descriptive statistics and independent sample t-test via SPSS. Now we are going to the chapter 4, which is the findings of this research study. Now we need to know the major findings addressing to these research questions. The findings indicated that both Bumiputra and non-Bumiputra undergraduates actively use code mixing in cross-cultural communication. The most frequently reported types were insertion and alternation, primarily involving Malay and English lexical items, with occasional inclusion of culturally embedded expressions. As for descriptive statistical findings that I have shown and I will show in the slide of the tables, basically overall mean values reveal that Bumiputra respondents consistently reported higher mean scores across all dimensions in terms of intrinsic motivation and intercultural competence. Compared to non-Bumiputra respondents, this pattern suggests stronger confidence, satisfaction, and intercultural readiness among Bumiputra undergraduates when engaging in code mixing practices. And as for the next one, I will also show the table of independent sample status results for all 6 items in terms of intrinsic motivation and intercultural competence. If you can see here, independent sample status reveal statistically significant differences between Bumiputra and non-Bumiputra respondents across all examined variables. Significant were found and significance were found for 6 of them: intrinsic motivation, self-efficacy, desire for self-justification, desire to become global citizens in terms of intrinsic motivation. For intercultural competence, differences found in knowledge, skills of discovery and interaction, and intercultural attitude. Now, all of these results, all of these tables were significant at P below 0.01, indicating that the observed differences were unlikely to have occurred by chance. It is significant. Now, let's talk about the patterns and trends. The findings demonstrate a consistent trend in which Bumiputra undergraduates reported higher confidence, stronger motivation, and greater intercultural competence in relation to code mixing compared to non-Bumiputra. These results highlight that code mixing is not randomly but systematically linked to motivational and intercultural variables. Alright, now we are going to the next one, which is chapter 5, discussion and conclusion. To my first examiner and my second examiner, this is the discussion of the findings. Chapter 5 focuses on discussion the findings of the study in relation to past research as cited in Gumper's 1983, Muiskin 2000 typology of code mixing, and concluding that the overall investigation of code mixing among Bumiputra and non-Bumiputra undergraduates in cross-cultural communication. The first one, the findings that were related to past studies basically indicated that code mixing is a common and systematic communicative practice among Malaysian undergraduates, as cited by Shahli 2021. Both Bumiputra and non-Bumiputra respondents were found to frequently employ code mixing, as Wu 2021 indicated, particularly through insertion and alternation types, which involve the integration of lexical items or phrases from different languages within a single utterance. This pattern is consistent with previous studies conducted in multilingual contexts, which identify insertion and alternation as dominant strategies due to the communicative efficacy and flexibility in intercultural interactions. Now, in terms of intrinsic motivation, the findings demonstrated that the Bumiputra undergraduates reported higher overall mean values across all dimensions, including self-efficacy, desire for self-certification, desire to become global citizens. 3 of these. And these results align with earlier research suggesting that speakers with higher confidence and intrinsic management are more willing to utilize code mixing as a communicative resource. Wu 2024. Similarly, past studies have indicated that code mixing is often associated with speakers' positive perceptions of multilingualism and their readiness to participate in intercultural communication, Gals 1973. Next, the major findings were further elaborated in relation to previous literature. The independent sample t-test results reveal statistically significant differences between Bumiputra and non-Bumiputra undergraduates across all measures variables. Bumiputra respondents demonstrated significantly higher mean scores not only in intrinsic motivation but also in all components of intercultural competence, namely knowledge, skill of discovery and interaction, and attitude. These findings are consistent with previous studies that emphasize the role of intercultural awareness and communicative confidence in shaping multilingual language practices. This was cited by Alabi 2021. Now, the significant differences suggest that Bumiputra undergraduates may possess stronger intercultural readiness, enabling them to navigate cross-cultural communication more confidently through code mixing. Past research has similarly highlighted that language choice in multilingual societies function as a strategic tool for meaning-making, identity expression, and social alignment. Therefore, the present findings further support the view that code mixing is influenced by both motivational and intercultural factors rather than being a random or deficient language practice. And now, finally, the chapter concludes the study. Overall, this research demonstrated that code mixing is an integral aspect of cross-cultural communication among Malaysian undergraduates, while both Bumiputra and non-Bumiputra students actively engaged in code mixing. Significant differences were identified in terms of intrinsic motivation and intercultural competence, as we discussed, with Bumiputra undergraduates consistently reporting higher mean values compared to non-Bumiputra. These findings contribute to quantitative research on multilingual communication by providing empirical evidence on how motivational and intercultural variables influence language practices in higher education. In conclusion, the study highlights the importance of recognizing code mixing as a legitimate and meaningful communicative strategy within Malaysia's multilingual academic context. This concludes the presentation of the research study. My name is Ahmad Farhan. Thank you so much to my first and second examiner of the day. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope you enjoy and thank you so much. Assalamualaikum. Greetings.